Few things in the paranormal world creep people out more than shadow people. I'm doing the world's first study of shadow people, and I have photographed a number of them. They're like living silhouettes without visible features, just moving black humanoid masses that have been talked about in whispers lest you are thought to dwell on the lunatic fringe of society. Modern camera technology may just bring these creatures out of the realm of myths, legends, and folk tales into our realm of reality. They can range in size from creatures that look like the Jawas from the Star Wars epic or the Mandalorian, about 3 feet tall or 9/10 of a meter, to hulking figures that are over 10 feet or 3 meters. They can suck the heat right out of a room and out of your body like an energy vampire. And I know this because I felt it happen. As with anything controversial, you're free to agree or disagree, but keep the vibration high and the vitriol low. This is for entertainment purposes only. There are 3 types of shadow people that I have experienced. The first is an extremely depressed soul, often a suicide, that is seeking connection but cannot help but change the mood of the place they are in, spreading their gloom and depression to the living. It can really affect your life and can cause infighting and turmoil if a whole family is living with this dark spirit. The second is a truly evil spirit invading people's thoughts and dreams, intent on spreading fear and even feeding off of it. The latter is capable of injury, scratching people, or violently pushing them. You may call it demonic, alien, or elemental, depending on your belief system. But as I present my photographic evidence, feel free to decide which is appropriate for you. The third is a tall, thin, alien-like creature that was my first encounter with the shadow realm. Notice I said alien-like. In other words, something out of our known paradigm. Given the bizarre number of cryptid reports coming out of Appalachia, skinwalkers in Utah, Sasquatch and other cryptids in the Pacific Northwest, these shadow people types fit right in with that netherworld where only those that have seen it believe it. Perhaps this experience is limited to just me, but if you have had a similar encounter, please let me know in the comments. Some say there is a fourth, the Hat Man, which I have also experienced, but I can't say with any certainty that it is any different from the first 2 categories. I've had one empath tell me that the Hat Man in my photo was an extremely depressed, earthbound soul, while others have said that the Hat Man is incredibly evil. When I reveal what the Hat Man really looks like when you take away his black veil, you're free to agree or disagree that this should or should not be a separate category. Keep in mind that I live in a very haunted area with a history of massacres of European settlers by Native Americans and vice versa, Revolutionary War and Civil War battles with many casualties. But my first experience with shadow entities, tall, incredibly fast shadow figures would come through the fence across the road from my place. I do not have any photos of the first kind of shadow person I'm going to discuss, but one of these creatures left a handprint on my bathroom mirror, showing longer than human fingers that are incredibly thin, no thumb, and a palm which angles up instead of a rounded arc like the human hand. Was this a warning, or was this to just let me know that they have access to my home and there was nothing I can do about it? What do you think? Now, the human handprint, compare your palm to the palm of the handprint. Notice how thin the fingers are, but they are all straight up and down. A human hand, if you separate the fingers, they fan out in a circular form. But if you put them all straight up, there is no space between them. There is on this handprint. By the way, the mirror faced a green wall, so that's what you are seeing in the reflection. The handprint was on the mirror's glass though, not the wall. My family members have seen this tall, thin, featureless black humanoid form in our yards many times. They have also been seen next to the fence by friends of ours, then moved down the road a couple of miles to be seen by them a second time, outpacing their car traveling around 15 miles per hour. These dark souls seemed to gather in a forested ravine right behind my former house at night, and their presence gives one a constant state of unease. Because of that and the handprint inside my house, meaning that they have been inside the house, I moved. Also, have you ever seen children playing with apps that put something on your face, like a puppy dog ears, or glasses, or some other face-altering look? When in my house, these apps were putting effects on where there was no visible face. In other words, the camera's electronics were detecting a face that nobody could see. And this happened over and over and over again. So yes, they were inside my house. This is just the first of many personal experiences with shadow people, and these creatures were so fast that I have no photographic evidence of my first experience other than the photo of the handprint on my mirror. So let's get into the photos that I do have of shadow people, the location, and circumstances surrounding each photo. I first photographed shadow people at the Bruton Parish Church in Colonial Williamsburg, which is an original 18th century building built in 1715, with a graveyard on the grounds as well as people buried underneath the floors of the church. So this whole area is quite haunted. First group of photos were taken during a Christmas Eve service right outside the main entrance of the church. This photo looks like a face-off between a shadow person and a pale white ghost. Does this shadow person qualify as a hat man? What say you? If not, there's more to come. This next photo, taken seconds after the first, shows streaks of red and black as if the two apparitions are fighting with each other. What do you think? Perhaps a struggle between good and evil? The third photo of this group was taken on the sidewalk by the wall surrounding the church and the graveyard. And it is the most unusual because it breaks one of the rules of shadow people. You can make out facial features on this apparition, and an even more bizarre feature is that it has bright red, almost skeletal arms bent over it in an unusual way over its shoulders. This next photo was taken several years later when I saw a man dressed in colonial attire walk out of the church late one night, which is highly unusual. I took his photo as he rounded the corner of the church, and as you can see, all of his features failed to show up. A black shadow figure whose body is missing below the rib cage, seen attached to the much taller apparition in the white colonial shirt. Now, I have discussed this with one of my other videos, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. The shadow figure appears to be wearing a hat and has some facial features. Again, I saw the man in the white colonial shirt as a real, complete person, but I did not see the shadow man. That only showed up in this photo. This next photo is both eerie and perplexing. A group of shadow people gathered together in the graveyard, all facing a smaller shadow person sitting on one of the gravestones. This photo was blurred because of the distance it was taken at, as well as it was night. I was amazed to have photographed this group, all the while wondering what were they doing in the graveyard. One Christmas Eve, the church services let out, and I captured something waiting outside the church on the patio. Do you see it? Or would you have just passed over this photo as if nothing unusual was there? How observant are you? Did you catch this hooded, faceless shadow person standing innocuously on the patio, waiting for someone to come out? Here is the same photo with a white arrow pointing at the hooded figure, looking like it just came out of a Charles Dickens novel. I don't know about you, but it reminds many of the Grim Reaper. It was standing right outside the church as Christmas Eve services let out. You can see all the people leaving as it was packed. Was it waiting to claim its victim that night? What do you think? Yes, I saw it, and it looked like the face of an old woman inside that black hood, but the face did not show up on this photo. Most shadow people do not have such a clearly defined outline. Instead, you will often see an ephemeral black powdery form. Notice that the sleeves are joined together to conceal the hands, while the coat is to the ground, concealing the feet. This photo was taken on the sidewalk right next to the wall surrounding the church, and there is a shadow person standing right in front of me with its arms out as if it was trying to get my attention. Notice how the other real people walking away have distinct, clear outlines, whereas the shadow person is just a blur of black. I propose that they have a dark energy veil that has no form or outline, but again I will reveal what some of them really look like later. Here's a crop of that photo just showing the shadow figure, and I do believe it was trying to get my attention for some reason. This next photo was on the same evening, just a few yards or meters away from the previous photo. This time a male shadow person walking away from me and towards a group of people that are probably on a ghost tour. This shadow figure was walking away from the cemetery gates, a much shorter apparition. That may just remind you of a Star Wars character. If you've watched the Star Wars epic and or The Mandalorian, these apparitions are about Jawa-sized figures, let's say about 3 feet tall or 9/10 of a meter, and this one has a hat on. Later on I will show you one wearing a hood, and it looks just like a Jawa. My last photo of the Bruton Parish Church is one of the most intriguing for several reasons. This particular ghost tour had more paranormal anomalies happening around it than any other group I've ever seen. I could probably make a whole video on just that, but for now, let's just look at the shadow people. So here's the full photo with them standing by the gate that takes you into the church and graveyard. From here it may look like nothing going on, so let's zoom in. Notice the shadow person is reaching out and touching the shoulder of a young girl with strawberry blonde hair, and as it does, a woman from the group is walking right through it. The woman has a long, light-colored coat and a high-heeled boot or shoe. It almost looks like the leg and shoe belong to the shadow person, except facing the wrong way. I saw the woman walking to the left, but I did not see the shadow person. Only my camera picked up. I can only wonder if that woman felt anything as she walked right through the shadow. Take a look at this photo from the Yorktown waterfront. Is this another shadow person, the Grim Reaper, or a ghost? You decide. If you have had an experience with a shadow person, please send me a message detailing what happened to you. I'm interested in learning more. For me, the paranormal is very much like music. You never stop learning. This first photo I took at the William Pitt store during the Christmas season had nothing unusual in it. It looked like a mother and daughter sharing a moment together on the bench, but I did cover their faces because I did not get their permission to use their likeness in a video. But I was shocked when I saw the second photo I took at that store just seconds later. Again, I covered the faces of the two women on the bench as well as the man standing in the doorway. The two shadow figures appeared on the left of the store, just walking down the street, and one was standing right in front of the two women on the bench, making me wonder, what was this dark figure doing staring at them? Why do you think it was there? Remember the photo of the hooded person at the Bruton Parish Church patio after the Christmas Eve service? If I put the two crop photos side by side, both hooded figures look very similar. Both photos were taken at Christmas time, but several years apart. People seem to be completely oblivious to the presence of this person, ghost, or spirit, whatever moniker you would like to give it. What is this shadow person after? Is it there to take lives? Is it there to take people's energy like an energy vampire? What do you think? In contrast to the previous two shadow people with a long robe to the ground, this one is wearing black pants. However, he has a familiar pointed hood on as he stands in front of the pillory looking at a man who is locked into this punishment device from centuries past. This pillory appeared about 5 or 6 feet away from the present one on display in Colonial Williamsburg, and its construction is very different. Could it be that this is what the pillory really looked like in the 18th century of Williamsburg? We can also wonder if this man perished while locked into the pillory, but why is the shadow person standing there and staring this man down? Perhaps this may be the most troubling of the group photos of shadow people. Two shadow people with one bent over a child stroller. I don't see a child in it, but I do see the head of a ghost of a frightened little boy moving between the two shadow people. One bent over the stroller is completely missing a face, while the one standing by has dark gray features. Where are the parents? Why are they at this stroller? Why is that scared little boy's face floating between them? What do you think is going on in this photo? This video will be in 3 parts, and I will leave you with one last thing to ponder on. I have a Rottweiler dog that is not afraid of anything. Here's a photo of her. Normally this dog will not watch the television and usually ignores the computer screen when she walks into my room, and she just lays at my feet. She walked into my room when I had this photo of a shadow person on the screen, sat down, not laid down, and started whining as her eyes were fixated on the shadow person in this video. The shadow person has been photographed by myself, as well as some of the people on my ghost tour, and it is seen in front of the Weatherburn Tavern. She sat and whined at this photo for about 5 minutes until I took it off the screen. And when I did, she promptly lay down and went to sleep. To be so triggered by a shadow person, she had to have seen them before and know something about them. Why would a dog be so troubled at viewing a shadow person on a computer screen? What does a dog know about shadow people that we don't? What would instill such fear in such a fearless animal? Stay tuned for part 2 as we go deeper into the shadow world and reveal a little more. By the way, don't forget to check out Amazon for my books on haunted historic colonial Williamsburg. Links provided below.